I've noticed a pattern, and I don't know if you have. In general, you would say people are sheep, but you can see that more in every aspect of our life. If you can create a YouTube channel where people follow you, then they'll give you their money. But let me give you some examples of this first. We have in USA called mega churches. And literally these are preachers that just go on and on and on and brag how you should give them your money. And these preachers own jets, some of them own two. It's crazy. There's one crazy preacher where he had everybody put their hands on their head and said, we're going to grow your hair. And all the men in the congregation put their hands on their head. I just shook my head. Now, you think about this, in general, these people believe this man because he talks about scriptures in this Bible. And we're talking millions of people. We're not talking no 500 or 1,000. You know, back when I was younger, there was a guy named Jimmy Baker, and he had a wife named Tammy Baker, and they were all over TV. This guy, this preacher was making millions. It was crazy. He had gold toilets, he had gold sinks. I mean, this is nothing new. And he did get caught. He originally was fooling around with his secretary, and he paid her off with $130,000, which I find kind of funny because somebody else did that, didn't they, for that amount of money. And he took the money from the congregation and he got caught. Now, you never ever heard how much time that guy got. It's like they kept it hush hush. Well, I was curious the other day and I thought I'd look it up, and he got 5 years. He made millions and he got 5 years. Now, do you think he went to a jail like everybody else because he had so much money? Or do you think he went to a fancy jail? He did remarry, and the woman he married looks just like Tammy Baker, the wife that he divorced and died. But there's always another preacher to take their place, another con artist. But let's go beyond religion, okay? Religion's been done like this for years. Let's go beyond that. Let's take another herd mentality of people that want to be in the herd, okay? Taylor Swift, all right? She's the same thing. Millions and millions of kids following her. Everybody creates a fan list. If you have a lot of fans, then it will generate people to follow you. And it's just amazing, especially if you can touch on what their interest is. Okay, that's a key thing. It just moves with the same common denominator. Another one would be Andrew Tate. I mean, he's over there saying horrible things about women and how you need to do this and you will own a Bugatti, and the young men are gravitating toward him and giving him $50 a month because they're young and foolish and stupid, basically. And it just goes on with all these. It even goes on in the prepper community. You know, you can have a guy that sits down at his desk and never does anything and talks about the news, and you'll get 200,000-300,000 people following him. And I don't follow any of those guys. I just kind of shake my head. And the people make no sense to me. You can go to the news channel on the news section on YouTube and see everything they're talking about. You know, I just, because people are preppers and they want to belong to that group, and because this guy says he's a prepper and because he talks about the news and he adds some things in because he happens to read a few things, all of a sudden they are driven to that. And this group grows. No different than the religious group to Taylor Swift, to Tate. I mean, all these groups keep growing. So what does this tell us? Well, it tells us that people in general need to belong to a group. if you think about it. So, and if they don't, they feel lost. You know, a lot of information's out there on how to camp in winter. I mean, I've made multiple videos on how to prep your equipment and even showed you. And people still want to just follow that one guy and believe what he says to them. It's really sad, you know, which tells us something else. Anytime I've ever seen some end of the world movie, it's always been pretty funny. Everybody seems to gravitate towards some church, and then they're all there praying to God and everything, and an asteroid comes out of the sky and squashes the church. Well, that worked out well. But people seem to need to be in a group. And that's what it just seems like. Now, you can take that into other areas, like, for example, the Amish, the Mennonites. I mean, they only go as far as grade 8 education. I don't know how they get away with that. And they make sure their kids are stupid. So this way, and they say, oh, we allow our kids to leave. We give them free time out in the real world. Well, I have no idea how to function out in the real world because they weren't trained for that. So they now gravitate back to their family, and that's where they've been programmed to live. If you look into other countries like North Korea, Russia, China, I mean, these are communist countries. And these people don't get up and rebel. They know about the USA, they know about our freedoms, but they don't get up and rebel. They do whatever that individual says, and nobody argues. In China, when they had the COVID, they were locking buildings and killing them off by the thousands. You didn't see a whole lot of that reported, but that's the way it is. It seems like, you know, my life is revolved around the guy in North Korea, and what he says goes. I mean, you even see things on that guy where he has 1,000 women that are trained for his pleasure. And his people see nothing wrong with that. I don't know. So it tells me people will always be controlled, whether it be in a communist country, to a religion, to a prepper community, to just about anything on the internet. It's almost like people cannot think for themselves. And the ones that do think for themselves, okay, like myself, they're rare. I mean, we walk alone. And that's just the truth. You know, we question everything. And because we question everything, we get banned from channels. When we say something, we say, oh, look at all your shiny gear. Do you go out and test it? Why are you telling people that? That's not true. That's propaganda. When you question these people, just like questioning a dictator, oh, they get upset. You know, you'll even find preppers that say, I've got 4 books I wrote. You know, I am an authority on this. But if you research that person even closer, you'll find out that he's self-publisher, which means he wrote the books, he published them, he printed them. Nobody, you know, sponsored him like Barnes & Noble or anybody like that. No, he did the whole thing himself. And then he's able to sit back and say, look at that, I wrote books. But nobody researches it to find out what's going on. Did he do all that as part of the scam? Is what he did? It's sad. It really is. You'll see big news channels on YouTube where they say, oh, we need your help. We need you to help us. We need you to, you know, donate money to us. And yet, if you go and look that company up on the internet, they're making $6.2 million a year. Like it's not enough. YouTube really has turned into a begging, conniving trap if you're not careful. If you're not that person that walks to your own tune, then you're in trouble. If you find yourself following people that have an outrageous amount of subscribers and they're not really doing anything, then you have become that sheep that you probably did not know. It probably has happened to you and you don't even realize it. That's the sad part. You have lost your individuality of thinking for yourself. Now, it's one thing to say, I don't know how to do something, so I'm going to go watch some videos to learn how, but you watch 4 or 5 videos on different people, and then you apply it yourself, and now you've learned that skill, and now you go on. But not where you're looking forward to somebody releasing a video that's going to talk to you about news, or somebody that's going to talk about fear porn, or somebody's going to talk about, oh, it's coming now, here it comes, we're going to war, World War III is coming. And it's just something else. President Putin talks about a nuke and everybody gets all paranoid it's going to be launched. I don't think people really understand what a nuke can do. I really don't. And it's very, very scary. But overall, all this has been going on for very, very many years. And chances are you might be one of those people, is what could be going on. And if you are, you might want to look in the mirror and put yourself in check and get yourself away from these particular YouTubers that are controlling you indirectly, and you're following them because you think they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Yet they can't even get out of the chair and take 2 steps. You might want to think about that. Anyhow, I'll catch you guys on the next one.